Hello and welcome to this Facebook Live talking about the historic and future dates discipline of the World Memory Championships. I'll talk a little bit first of all about how the dates are created before talking about how they're memorized. I often spend a lot of time in airports and places like that, so I always take my notebook with me, and the dates are often written in there in odd periods of time when I've got time to spare in those situations. I try to be quite creative in writing the events, so they can be amusing as well as some of the more benign ones. The things like uh, a farmer breeds a cow that makes chocolate milk, or suicidal snowman goes sunbathing. These kind of things. So unusual things that add a bit of humour. Although actually, when people are memorising, they only actually pick a single keyword from the date, so actually it doesn't actually make a lot of difference what the actual content of the date is. There are certain restrictions you have to abide by, so you can't have more than 6 words for each date. They're a bit like newspaper headlines. You can't use products, so can't use brand names, can't use real people. Also, you've got to be very careful about making puns that are language specific or culturally specific, because it's going to be translated into different languages. So if you use something that's particularly European or particularly English, then it won't make sense once it's translated to Chinese. So you've got to be very careful about being as internationally translatable as possible when you're creating those. We have 40 dates to a page. And the trouble is that every year it gets harder and harder to create these because we keep getting world records broken. But still, it's exciting to have world records, so I don't mind the extra work of time creating them. It does tend to be sometimes a challenge, though, to be original, because I've been doing it for so many years. I don't want to be repeating myself, so you have to be in a good state of mind, relaxed state of mind when you're doing it, to avoid going back to old ones that have been used before. And also, obviously, variety within the set of dates of that particular year as well, that particular competition. When you're memorizing them, as I said, competitors tend to take a keyword from the date, for the event, and then memorize the dates that's associated to that, of course. Complete random range of dates. There's no relationship between the date and the event. So you can have something that could be, spacecraft travels to Jupiter in 1184. Obviously, that couldn't possibly happen, but you still have no way of guessing in that way, so make it completely unguessable for the competitors based on the event. You can cherry pick to some extent. You don't have to memorize all the dates in sequence, because of course on the recall sheet they're in a different order, so you can choose which ones you memorize. Although if you do cherry pick, it takes a little bit longer, obviously, because you're choosing which ones to select and which ones to reject. If you've got a 3-digit number system, you only need to remember really the century, decade, and year. You don't need to remember the millennium, because they all start with 1, apart from those that are after 2000. So instead of remembering 1782, you only need to remember 782, and then perhaps avoid the ones that got 2000s at the start, or you can have some extra coding for ones that start with a 2. So you can make those associations, and some people like to memorize them on a journey, although that helps with your memorization. But of course, on the recall, you're not recalling them in sequence. You have to actually hunt for the relevant answers. There's no point really guessing, because with this event you get a half-point penalty for every incorrectly assigned year. So if you guess, you've got about 1 in 1,000 chance of getting it right, so it's not really worth guessing. However, if there's a date you're not entirely certain of, so if maybe you're not sure whether it's 1782 or 1783, something like that, you can make one guess, because you'll lose half a point, but then we round up the total score to a full round number, whole number. So you can make one guess without any fear of losing points, as long as all of the other ones you're certain are correct. Of course, you get 2 half points, 2 mistakes, then you won't get that back. And if you have an odd half at the end, it's rounded back up. So you can make one guess, but that's all. So hopefully this has been of interest to you. It's a very interesting event to devise this one. So you have to be creative in doing it. So next week next discipline. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.